All right, we are live. Hey, welcome everyone to the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. I am your host, Jeff Freeman, and back in the co-host saddle again is Jack Campbell. Welcome, Jack. How you doing?
All right, Jeff. Good evening.
I tell you what, man, it is really cool to be back in Oak Island mode and here to be talking about, doing some recaps again. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It sure has.
Yeah, I know it has been a bit of time that we've stepped away with some other stuff, and we've had some recordings, we had some IDKs, we had some different things happening. But I tell you what, it is really, really good to be back and talking Oak Island again and doing some recaps. And folks, that's what this is all about. We decided, this was several months ago, we talked about it. We thought, what would be kind of cool would be to sit back and talk about the leading up to the season premiere. Talk about season 8 again, kind of revisit season 8. So we thought it'd be a good idea. We hope you guys enjoy it. We hope that you will join us in chatting about it as we go along. We're going to be doing episodes 1 and 2 tonight. And we just want to have a great time with you all. Looks like we got a few people popping in. Pam, how you doing? Janet's here with us. Pat's here.
Listen, Jan, I am wearing my hat that you
did. Yeah, look at that hat he's sporting there tonight. He's got his Curse of Oak Island hat on, man. That's awesome. I don't even have one of those. I don't even have that. That's awesome. Mary, how you doing, Mary? Jeff's with us. The Jeffs. Let's see. Donna's here. Metal detecting, digging history. All right, cool. I was just doing some metal detecting up in Wisconsin, and I didn't find a whole lot, but we had a great time. I got to tell you that much. All right. Jacqueline's here. Sharon's here. Yeah, all right, man. We got a great crowd. And we can't forget Linda Simpson and Jan out there working in the chat tonight. Thank you guys very much for all the hard work you do. Appreciate you so very, very much. Indy's Antics is here. Oh my gosh. Wayne Murphy. All right. Hello, Wayne, how you doing? Glad to see you. So yeah. Oh yeah. And recently Jack had a birthday. So happy birthday, belated. I know.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's your birthday present that you're wearing on your head there,
yes,
right?
It is. And they said they wanted a picture. I haven't got it yet, but I said I'd wear it tonight to let them know that I do like it and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Barbara, there's Barbara. I was told there would be bacon. Oh, you know what? I got to say real quick, as you just reminded me with that bacon. I did want to say that just yesterday, and this is a very sad thing that we want to talk about. Just briefly, I want to mention that we did lose a researcher, a theorist for Oak Island, and Chris Duna passed away. Chris was a very good friend of Jake Roberts, who's been on the show. Chris, just wanted to say that we lost Chris Dona yesterday, and it's really a sad thing. But I would just take a moment just to think about that, and just a moment of silence for Chris Dona, if we could, please. I had talked to him a few times. I know that Linda had talked to him also, and just a great guy, but he will be missed. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a great friend of Jake's, and Jake's been on.
Yeah, Jake Roberts and him worked together a lot. He was a good friend of his, and just a good guy, and he's going to definitely be missed. So, all right, Tara's here with us. Hey, Tara, how you doing? Yeah, happy birthday, Jacks are coming flying out. Yeah.
Older, but not wiser, I don't think.
All right. Yeah, definitely. But I tell you what, it's really exciting to get back in the saddle and start talking Oak Island again, and all that good stuff. I tell you, it's been a while. So, like I said, we decided we want to kind of recap season 8, episodes 1 and 2. We're gonna go through the whole season 8 over the course of the next few weeks, leading right up to the season premiere of The Curse of Oak Island season 9. And we are looking forward to that. I know I am. How about you? Are you looking forward to the new season?
I am. They've been teasing us so much with the promos here lately that
I know.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I know.
Plus, we had Karen on a couple times.
Karen was awesome. Yeah, she was awesome. I tell you what a great lady. Her and the things that she shared with us and the pictures and everything were just really, really cool. Karen was awesome, and we're gonna have her on again. Actually, I'm gonna be I won't tell you just yet what we're working with her on with her, but she will be. You have not seen the last of Karen public cover for sure. So anyway, there'll be more of that coming
And
up.
hopefully it won't be rain the next time we have.
I know. And we so wanted her to. She was going to sit outside and with her back and watching the causeway. We were hoping to see some great stuff going across the causeway.
And it happened after we went off the air.
Yeah, as soon as we got done, all of a sudden, she sends pictures of what's happening, and we just missed it. I'm saying, oh man, what a mess. But it was. I tell you what, it was really fun having her on. And like I said, you have not seen the last of Karen Public Cover on the show. She will be back. Thank you. Linda put that right up there. She will be back. Yes, she will. Let's see. I do have the phone on. Believe it or not, I did not forget I almost forgot to turn it on, but it is on, ready to go. And I'm going to put that phone number up. And folks, this is one of those times where we're going to revisit season 8. Starting at the beginning, rolling our way through, and we really want you guys to interact with us. So, feel free to call in. We're going to try to confine this to episodes 1 and 2 if we can, as we roll through here. If you remember, I know I've watched them all again, but I definitely want to make sure that we kind of stick with the season or episodes 1 and 2 of season 8 if we can, and then we'll work our way through as we go. With that said, episode number 1 was called Remote Control. And I think that name had to do with the fact that, as you well know, if you remember, Rick and Marty, Craig and Alex and Jack and all those guys were not on the island. None of them were on the island yet at the beginning of the episode or the beginning of the filming season. They actually didn't get out there until I think it was around the 1st of July, I believe it was. They got in Nova Scotia before that. I think they didn't get to the island until around the beginning of July, if I remember correctly.
At the beginning of the show, they were not sure they were even going to be on the island.
I know. That was the big thing. They weren't sure that they were going to make it. And that's kind of happened again this year. We're not sure, they didn't get out there. Well, we are sure they made it. We know that for a fact. And they made it into Nova Scotia. But the same thing happened again this year. They did not get out there until late in the season. But as you guys saw, they did get a lot done in season 8. And I think they will get a lot done in season 9 as well. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming up for that. And as we saw the commercials, you guys have seen the commercials, what's happening there. So, let's see here. All right. So, and I got my pictures. You guys know I love my pictures. I figured, well, I tried to limit myself a little bit on how many pictures I was going to share tonight, mainly because you guys have seen them all before, and we just need a reminder, right? You haven't seen all the pictures, but let's see. Bring one up here. And, I love to start off with the ones that show Oak Island in the beginning. And this one is so cool. Hey, the Awoken one's here. How you doing? Glad you're here. Paula's here. Hi, Paula.
Tara. Here.
Yep. All right. Yeah, we got a good crowd tonight. Thank you guys for coming by and sharing this with us. All right. So I'm going to share this picture. Let's see. Share screen. Boom and boom. Look at that. That's one of my favorite pictures of Oak Island, just because it's got the cloud layer is low and everything. It's kind of hanging over the island. Isn't that cool? They were showing that at the beginning of the episode. Hey, Tom. Tom's here. Yeah, they had to do 14 days quarantine after they and wait for the border to open this year. Yeah, exactly. I know. God, it's really got to be so hard to have to sit. As we saw, they were sitting in the house. We'll get to that.
When I watched them at the beginning, when they were on there, the look in their faces said an awful lot to me. They were really, really worried, not only to get on the island, but think of all the things that they had planned or had people coming in, et cetera, and everything's up in the air. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah. You gotta roll with it. You gotta roll with what's happening. For sure. Hi, Diane. Yeah, she said you look well rested. I tell you what, that was an awesome trip. It maybe a discussion for another time, but it was an awesome trip. Yeah, I had what a vacation. It was a great vacation to spend. A lot of driving for me, but I had to do it because I was taking up so much stuff.
I'm sure you waved as you went
As I drove by your area there, I waved as I drove by. Yep, I sure did. Hey, Jamie, how you doing? Jamie's here from Vermont. Glad you're here with us. But Jeff was talking about 60 pictures tonight. Well, I don't have quite 60.
Vicky, how are you this morning?
Hi, Vicky.
Glad you're here.
Yep. Hey, guys, join in with us on the conversation. I'll do my best as we get back to our old routine of watching the chat and making sure I tried my best to interact with everyone and get your notes and stuff up here and the things you want to say. And the phone line is open, so if anybody wants to call, you can do that as well. Let's see. They need to pick and choose what they tackle next. Yeah, for sure. Yep. All right. So there's my picture of Oak Island right off the bat. You know, that's I just love that. That one's really, really cool, just with the low cloud layer there. I just love that. That's really awesome. And it started off, as you know, the very first season premiere of season 8 started off with showing us of Marty Lagina's office in Traverse City, Michigan, where he is located, or right outside of Traverse City, but he has offices in the town there. And there it is. And it shows you inside their conference room right off the bat. And they had to do this remotely, but they wanted to check in with everybody on the island to see what was going on, with the folks that were on the island. So they got a chance to talk a little bit before they got started with Craig and Alex. I think Alex was in there and Jack was in there. And of course, Marty, Rick, and Craig. And having a little discussion about things and, how COVID, and they talked about, the border they talked about the border was closed and how it got pushed back another 30 days. So this must've been obviously back in May or maybe even in April. I would think probably in May.
I think Tom told them that, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Jack asked if they would be able to go to Oak Island. Marty explains they have 2 plans. And they talked about that a little bit before they got rolling. And then so there's Jack and Alex. Yep. Did you just see their looks on their faces? They're just like, man, I just want to get out of here and get to the island so bad and just, start doing stuff over there. And so they brought up the team on the conference call, got everybody up there on the team. Then now the cool thing about it was most of these guys were able to access the island at this point. So they were able to get things done. They were out there working and, so they had this little meeting because they wanted to plan and kind of regroup and see how they wanted to attack things or what they were doing so far. And
the only one that surprised me there was Gary. He must have really gone early to get up on the island.
Yeah, well, him and Jack, they did. They got there before Rick and Marty for sure. So they got and he kind of went around the group there to find out, exactly what everybody's plan was and how they were going to, move forward with the investigation. So that's why I'm saying this had to be early in the season, probably April or May timeframe. May, I think, or somewhere in there, because he said they were going to be closed for another 30 days. So it had to be right in that timeframe somewhere. Now, first up, I think, was Ian Spooner. And Ian was talking about the fact that he had some exciting things going on in the swamp. Now, he had taken some survey pictures some old pictures that he had gathered and was found an anomaly in the swamp that he wanted to get a better look at. So that was going to be his area that he was going to attack. They were talking about if you remember correctly, it was Fred Nolan. When Fred and Dan Blankenship are working together, before they had their feud and split ways, they were working together, and Fred Nolan had drained the swamp, and Dan told him to fill it back in, let it fill back in. He didn't want it drained or whatever. He told him to let it fill back in. Well, as that was happening, he said, did you notice the tunnel entrance or the wood structure tunnel entrance that was in the southeast corner? Well, that's all we heard about it at that point. Now, then Ian had found, looking at some old pictures, that it looked like something had definitely been in that area. Now, remember, in season 7, they had already found the stone paveway or pathway or platform, whatever you want to call it, on the this would be on the north side of Nolan's Peninsula. They had already discovered that and uncovered that, and I think you had a date on that. Or 12, it was in the 1200s, was it not?
Yes.
And so they were working this area, or that's where he wanted to work. He wanted to work in that area of the swamp and get rolling in that spot. Let's see. Bear with me just a moment here. Okay. Yeah. In this picture here, Gary's he's still at his place there in Florida. You can see the bottles up there behind him. He wasn't on the island yet, as of this picture here, Drew. But most everybody else, I believe, was at least in Nova Scotia at this point, because they all live there, except for Gary, of course.
Good evening to Henry and Tom, both of you tonight.
Mm-hmm. Razor's here. Hi, Razor. How you doing? Yep. Oh, and Henry. Yep. Hi, Henry. Glad you're here with us. So that was Ian's input, that he wanted to work in the swamp and get things rolling there. Gary was talking about this new fancy metal detector or scanner that I don't know if he went out and bought it or if he was just going to be, if he borrowed it or whatever. Got some good publicity out of it when he brought it out to the island. But he proceeds to tell him about this, and the metal detector capable of finding cavities and tunnels up to 60 feet deep. So that was quite a piece of equipment there that he had.
And Jeff, I don't remember him using it, but that one time, maybe twice.
That's it. Yeah, that was like in episode 2, I believe it was. They started. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, see, it was. I think it was rented or lent to him for promotional purposes. But why not? I mean, heck, get the name out there, but get out there and use that thing on the island and see what you can find with it, I think was the important thing. And then they started talking after that. They started talking about the shiny gold object that was in C1. Now, you guys remember that. That was found initially back, oh, man, I don't remember what season it was now off the top of my head. But they had put in that, that's like season 4 or 5?
2015 or something like that?
Yeah, it was a while back. They had put a 4-inch or a 6-inch drill well down, and then they put that camera down in there, and and it was kind of it was back in it. You look at what they got now, what they're using nowadays, or at least in season 8, and what they were using back then. I mean, they had this thing tied onto this rope. It was actually a sewer camera, I think is what they said. It was like a sewer camera or a well camera, and they put it down in the pipe, and when they did, they found this shiny gold object reflecting on the side wall of the drill hole that they had made. And so they were like, oh my gosh, what's that? And you guys remember that picture? We'll show that. I've got a picture of it. I'll show you guys here in just a little bit. But they saw that and they were fascinated by that. Now, later on, they put in a bigger caisson they put in through there, which has become C1. And so that they got talking about that they wanted to get a camera down in there again and have a better look at that with better cameras, and see what they could find. Yeah. And that's what Charles remarked, that we have to take another kick at the can.
As I said, C1 just will not go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And C1 has been one of those caissons which still pops up all the time with something. C1 is important. Let's put it that way. It's the one that I think has the most potential to be close to the money pit, in my opinion, anyway. And again, I'm not on the island, so I can't be for sure. But that's my take on it right there. So C1 been very important. So that's what Charles is gonna work on. Doug, if you remember, Doug was talking about the fact that he was, I think he called it isolated or
quarantined for 4 months or something.
Yeah, he basically was, because he really couldn't go anywhere. He could access the island. He wasn't stuck on the island. But he was able to go on the island, and he spent about 4 months going through Dan Blankenship's files after Dan passed away and the files were made available to them. he spent that time going through those files. Now, one of the he found several important things, and one of those things he found was the Behringer survey and the Behringer survey maps, which we will get to here in just a little bit. But that was his big thing, is that he wanted to spend time really investigating the Behringer survey maps and the 4 points that were on there, which were where they found, I think at least a couple of them where they found non-ferrous metals, which what's our favorite non-ferrous metals? Gold and silver. So anyway, so that was his take on it. After he kind of briefed that a little bit about, going through Dan's files, that was his thing, that he really wanted to get out there, and him and Stephen Guptill were going to work on checking out that and go through those. Terry, you referred to it as the Sleeping Beauty survey, and nothing had been done to it for 32 years. In that, there were so many things that especially with Dan, you take from the Dunfield era and then Dan coming on board. There's so many things, and then even with Fred Nolan, that started, that they didn't spend a lot of time working on some of these other things. That Dan was focused on 10X. That was his big thing. Got to get down in 10X because he was so sure about what was happening there. But a lot of the other things that they had, started here and there around the island, he kind of just let them go. And I think one of the guys mentioned, it was either Doug or Craig or Charles had mentioned something about how a treasure hunter, you get focused on one thing, and it's hard for you to break out and branch off into these other things, which thank goodness Rick and Marty have such a team of people that they can send out in all these different areas. And that's what they've done, which is the perfect thing to do, is get so many people involved, the Fellowship of the Dig, as it is, and get them all involved and get them out looking at all these different things. Cause you don't want to be focused on one thing, right? You want to spread it out and see what you can find. So
the way he was talking, he didn't even get through everything that Dan had.
No. And I don't know if they still have.
And I would like to know what Fred had. I still think there's a treasure trove somewhere.
Yeah.
Unless he just had it in his head.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. I yeah, for sure. I'm with you on that. I think that Fred has a lot of stuff, and we hopefully someday we'll find out more about Fred's store of documentation and all of that stuff and maps and stuff. I mean, his maps are just phenomenal. I can't read them, but Stephen can, obviously. And maybe Deidre White, she could probably read them.
She could read them, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's quite the map, becoming the map expert.
The map lady.
The map lady, yeah, for sure. So, so we've got those guys all in, doing that. Oh, and I had the, let's see. Oh, right after that, and I'm going to stick with the meetings that they had. They also had a meeting, if you remember, with the team from Irving. And those guys, they were doing it was a Zoom meeting, and they were having a talk about the plan to do some sort of a big dig down the road. If you remember, it was their plan to do the honeycomb. They had come up with this idea to do a honeycomb style like this one here in the picture. Excuse me, to do a honeycomb pattern. Now, I saw this and I thought, and they said they could leave in a temporary casing as they go along. But if you remember, and I always leaned against doing the honeycomb thing. But if you remember, was it last season? It might have been season 7 when they put that one case on down in the ground, and they had it started collapsing. Remember that? And they had to stop. And that was, I remember
it happened a couple of times.
Yeah, and Vanessa, she had to pull a halt to the putting the case on down because everything was collapsing around the outside of the case on, because they've chopped that place up in Swiss cheese so bad. Yeah. I'm thinking that that's another good reason why this may not work, is because you're going to get that collapse happening so much more. I think, my opinion, I'm not a geologist. I don't know these things, but I mean,
I remember it was twice that it happened on Vanessa during that year. Mm-hmm. Once like in the middle, and it was like the last episode that they showed that year.
Mm-hmm.
It caved in on her.
Yeah. Yeah. Henry said in those caissons would be a lot of weight. You're right. Absolutely correct. They would be a lot of weight. I just don't see it. I just don't see. And I was always in favor of the big dig. Just make a giant hole, 100 feet wide, 200 feet deep, and let's go for it. But I don't know. And obviously, if they did have some ideas about possibly doing something, but then COVID happened, 2020, can't do it. And then also in 2021, they're not going to be able to do it this year either. So, so with that, let's see. So with that, I don't know. I just never had a big thing for this.
I'm not a fan of it because once you start moving everything around and shifting everything underneath, is stuff going to move again?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it would, because that ground has been chewed up so bad with so many different drills.
What if you hit the Chapel Fall again and it moves? I mean,
yep.
Hey.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think, anyway, but again, I'm not an expert on these things, so I don't know. Pat said they could probably do a short series just on Fred files alone. You betcha. I agree.
If they could find them.
Yeah. Yeah. If they get access to them or whatever, I'm sure they've got to be around, and Tom has them now. Or, well, you would think Tom has them, but let's see. I don't think they would have all the caissons in all of them. They talked about putting them down and systematically taking them out and leaving one. I know if they found some, leaving one in, but I just think that ground is just tore up so bad. It's not solid enough to hold.
Putting down and taking back up constantly.
Yeah. Sound like they had it figured out. You're right. It did. But again, I just don't know. I'm just not a big fan, because they backfilled all those as they went, and that backfill is not compacted anymore. It's not compact ground. Yeah. And Tom said you'd have to leave the caisson. You would have to leave the caissons in place to avoid collapse. In my opinion, the cost would be prohibitive in terms of time and dollars. Yep. I agree.
You see, one of the things they said they could cover it quicker. Well, I didn't understand how they could do that with the pulling out and putting in and everything.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the picture is misleading. I know that they were just trying to show, but they wouldn't leave them all in like that. You're right. I know that's very true. Let's see here. They talked about the freeze method. Barbara says they talked about the freeze method with tubes and glycol. Yep. Let's see. And if not, let's see. Ooh, jumping by so quick here. I don't know if that's still on the table or not. Yeah.
I was always wondering if they did that freeze method, would they have to have somebody on the island full time year round?
Oh yeah, that has to stay running. They have to keep that pumping through there to keep it frozen. Right. Yeah, it's not something you can just do it and walk away from it. I don't think. If you got to keep it pumping, so it would have to be the entire time the big dig is happening, you'd have to keep that going. Henry says, from seeing all those great photos posed in the group, looks like they delivered the. Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that on another time, but yeah, that's for sure. If the ground moving in one direction, or is it moving back and forth? I don't know. Yep. Let's see, then it won't take 3 years to put the caissons down. Nope. Yeah. So anyway, so that, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing in the end. I'm not really sure, but we will find out. You can bet down that at some point. Because they're not gonna give up on that, because it has to be, they've got to. I mean, that's the really, once they, and that's why they were doing so much exploratory drilling with the small one. You remember Choice out there last season, season 8 was out there punching holes everywhere, because they were trying to narrow down exactly where the money pit is. So then they had a good center point. Now you've got the center point. Now you know where to do this big dig. You know where to go. Otherwise, you're just wasting time and money trying to do a big dig without really knowing exactly where the money pit is. So,
and as they went through the year, I wasn't sure that they had it. I mean,
I don't think so. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think they found it last season.
I don't think they did either.
Yeah. I don't think they nailed down exactly where it was, which meant that in season 9, they were going to have to continue with that. And we did see that Joyce was out there pretty quickly this season. So I don't know, but that's for sure. Yeah, well, It's only time will tell as we go along here. So from that point, they decided they headed out to the Money Pit, and this is still in the premiere episode. They headed out to the Money Pit, and they bring on this gentleman right here, Mike Huntley. Now, we have talked to Mike, and Mike will be coming on the show at some point. We're still working out a date with him, but we're looking forward to having Mike Huntley on the show. Can't wait to talk to this man right here. I can tell you what. But he had mentioned, I like what his comment was when they were talking to him about what he was going to be doing here. And he said right here, he was kind of laughing because he said, yeah, I'm going to be going down in C1, but this time I'm staying dry and warm because they were doing it with a camera and he wasn't going actually in the hole himself. But they wanted to send a good camera down this time, a really good one, and they did. So there's the guys all backing up, getting their equipment out and getting ready to getting things set up. If you have a definite target, would be worth it. Maybe. Yeah, that's what Tom said. If you got a definite target, and that's an absolute must. You got to have that definite target.
I think you've got to have a definite target and put it right in the middle and then go right around it from there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So let's see here. Get us in the chat. All right. Hey, welcome. Is that Adam? All right. So they got that going. So then they show a picture of this camera rig. That's a shot of it there that they were lowering down inside. And that was pretty sophisticated. I mean, they basically built this, I think, for this particular job. It looked like to me anyway, that they built it for this job to get it down there. And so they sent it down in the hole. And of course, this is a shot of, remember, this was the old picture that they had from the sewer cam or the well cam that they put down in previous seasons. And they saw that shiny gold object down there. Okay. So that's why they were, they wanted to get another look at it. So this was the picture of it right there back a few seasons ago. And as they sent the camera down, they started seeing some anomalies in the wall of the in the andrite wall of the chamber of C1, and there's one right there. Now they're wondering, okay, could this be this? I mean,
right. And they had Rick and Marty. They had everybody.
Everybody was
Rick
watching.
And Marty and them could see this as it went along, so they had them hooked up into it.
Actually, well, I think they did when they sent the diver down. I don't know if they did during this section. I was trying to remember that. I'm not sure that they did during this part because I remember Craig and our Doug and them were sitting out underneath that awning, but you might be right. I'm trying to remember. I know when the diver went down, they definitely did.
They were there.
Yep. So, yeah. So anyway, so they saw that and they're thinking, oh man, is this right here? Is that the shiny gold object? I'm thinking no, but then again, I'm not sure this was so big and this isn't reflecting that light like that, but it's kind of gold. So I don't know. But they did talk to Terry Matheson, and Terry was talking about the fact that because they were thinking, well, maybe this is just something else in that wall. It's not really gold. Maybe it's something else that we're looking at that's not really gold. And let's see, Terry brought this up. He said, here it is here. There's no known natural emplacement of minerals that would look like gold in the andrite. Anhydrite. So what is it? It's got a gold color. It's not reflecting shiny light, but what is that, right? So I don't know. Could it be? Could it be? Could it be gold? And here's a picture of the 3 different ones that they saw down there. Here's that first one that we just looked at. And then there's a shot of the second one. And right in here, I can't hardly see it in this picture, but there's the third one that they found. It was he said it was like the size of a quarter. Well, I don't even see it. I think it's right there in the middle, but it's not showing up very well in that picture. But that was them side by side looking at those. So let's see. Oh yeah, here it is here. There it is right there. There's that one right there showing up. And again here, and then again here, and comparing them to this. Now you see that line across here. That could have been this one, maybe. I don't know. But it's not reflecting that light like it was, is it? Avalon Monk. Hi from the UK. All right, welcome. Thank you for coming by. Yeah, Boy, glad to have folks from across the pond here with us, for sure. Let's see.
Oh, Henry says the light on a sewer camera would point downwards. That's why it's darker. You can't see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, and that's something too. And I kind of wondered about that, Henry. It looks like the gold is stuck inside a cavity in the anhydrite, but I was kind of wondering about that. Why would it be in the wall going down like that rather than being laying on the floor of the cavity? You know, they did, I think when they did C1, if I remember correctly, they did have if you watch that episode when they were drilling it originally, the small pipe, the well pipe, they did find a void and it dropped and dropped and dropped. And I forget how many feet it was, but it was quite a few feet, like 12 feet.
Over 20 feet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And it dropped and dropped and dropped before they hit, ground again. So there was definitely, or is definitely, a cavity down there. So we were wondering what exactly why would it be in the wall? Why would that was always my big question. Why would it be in the wall of it and not that laying on the bottom? That always really confused me. Here they find it you still got to check it out. It's gold, or it looks like gold. It's a gold colored something or other, or yellowish. So you've got to go down there and check it out. But why would it be in the wall of it and not laying on the bottom? I don't know. Janet says, I'm thinking it's mica and the reflection of the light of a flashlight they hooked up onto the camera. Yeah, they did have like a flashlight.
Right.
You're right. Yeah, that was pretty funny. That's what I was talking about. That sewer cam, was pointing downward. Yep. That's why.
I know Doug said the one looked like it could not be man-made just by the way. It was like a triangle and everything. He just didn't think it was man-made.
Yeah.
It was a natural object, we'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Tom said hard to say what caused it to be ground into the wall. You're right. I don't know. Yeah. And again, I'm not a geologist or a person that knows those kinds of things, but so I don't know why would it be like that? We don't know for sure. But there it is.
When they put the can down, that happened.
Yeah. And that gave them some hope. Now they've seen it with another camera and they're like, okay, we've got to send a diver down there and have a look at this stuff. Okay. So they bring out the big guns. And here they are coming across the causeway, heading over, and there's Karen Public Cover's boathouse right there. But anyway, so now they're making their way across the causeway and getting geared up to do a dive. There's another picture of them, and that's the Fred's old museum over there. And there they are with their cranes getting ready to, get all set up to send a diver down. And I guess this first diver's name was Tyler Newton.
Right. This is a different company also.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember exactly. Was it a RMI?
RMI Marine.
Yeah. Specializes in deep water survey construction and salvage operations.
Because he had a problem.
Yeah. Mike Huntley was unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is Rob Ritzy's team. RMI Marine was out there doing this one, and they sent down that diver, Tyler Newton, to go down and have a look. And that was them there getting all set up for it. Yeah, Janet says mica runs in veins, so it could be in the wall. That's very true. Bill Kelly, how you doing, Bill? Yeah, it could be crystalline anhydrite. The gold color comes from the flux that is put down the holes to calm silt in the water. Yeah, hard to say what it is, but anyway, so and that was the thing, so here he goes, they get all set up and they get him up in the basket and get ready to lower him down. And I mean, that basket just barely fit inside that caisson. Of course, that was the smaller caissons, the baby ones they were using back then, right?
I'd be claustrophobic going down something like that.
I know I would too.
Ooh.
Oh, that's gotta be. I mean, but these guys are, they're probably used to that kind of thing.
They're used to it, but I mean,
yeah,
I'm an average person, and that would have me a little.
I'm just laughing at what Tom said. Tyler Newton, a name that will be engraved in Oak Island dive history. Oops. Oops. Yeah, I know. We're getting to that. Poor guy. Anyway, so they send him down, and this this was a little artist rendition of what he would be doing. So they could not go all the way to the bottom. They were not able or capable at that time to go all the way to the bottom. And so he was going to be searching the anhydrite, the walls just below the digging caisson, the one with the teeth on it, as you see right here. So that's about as far down as they were going, which is kind of
70 feet, I believe it was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I wanted him to go all the way to the bottom. It's like, come on, you got the guy in there. Let's send him all the way to the bottom.
That was another, what, 10 or 15 feet, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or 20 or something like that. Yeah, for sure. So, and there it is. He got it chipped out, and there it is. Bloop. And it goes floating away. And everybody.
I think I told Jeff before we went on the air, they had to have a 10-second pause button or something, probably, when that happened.
How many of you guys went, oh, running to reach out and grab it? Oh, my goodness. Darlene, how you doing, Darlene? Yeah, it takes a brave man to go down there. You're right.
You're
Absolutely.
right, Henry.
Yeah. Janet says Butterfingers. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy was,
He had gloves. He had gloves.
Gloves. And he's trying to hold on to that, he's scraping it out of there, trying to chip it out, and but oh, gold coin, all gone. Yep. Go down to the bottom, float down to the bottom. If that's what it was, if it was a coin, I don't know. So you see the picture of it there floating away, and there's another one. See ya, and there's another one. You see him.
I'm sure everybody was just jaw dropped when that happened.
Oh, I was on the edge of my seat. I was trying to grab jump into the TV and grab that thing for him. I was like, oh my goodness, that's awful. That was awful. I can't, I can't fathom how he felt. And you seen the guys, as they said, oh, there it goes. That was Rick and Marty. They were all watching at this point from, back in I think they were still in Michigan at the time. I don't think they were even in Nova Scotia. They weren't in quarantine yet. But yeah. Oh, you're right, Barbara. That water's got to be cold, really cold, even in a wetsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the dexterity is not that good. Yeah, you're right. I would bet. I'm not a diver, but I have been diving before.
Well, you've been in
UP, I was in very warm water, tropical waters when I was diving. So it was not cold at all. Matter of fact, it felt really good to get in the water. Yeah, big chunky gloves. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah. So anyway, but there it went. It floated down to the bottom, and everybody with a big sigh. Oh, we just missed what we were looking for. But one thing that they talked about that they never did do again in season 8 was do the airlift. They had talked about doing an airlift. And if you guys remember what that was where they're driving water down in there and then sucking up anything that's in that water, trying to bring it up to the surface. And they did it in one of the other, was it 10X? I think it was 10. I don't remember what hole it was. They did an airlift at one time, and they were blowing it into this, looked like a great big roller dumpster that they were, everything
was 10X, if I remember correctly.
And then they went in there later and they were digging out with shovels and stuff in the dirt that was left behind after they drained the water out, let it settle. So they talked about doing an airlift of the items that may be laying on the bottom now, like that thing laying on the bottom of C1. So they didn't. I mean, I never saw that happen. It may have, but we never saw it happen during season 8. So
it may be on the floor. Probably is on the floor if they did it.
Yeah. Yep. So right after that happened, and they lost that thing. And remember how it floated down? It really didn't, in my opinion, go like a coin. It seemed a lot lighter to me. I mean, it had the shape and it had the color, but when we saw that float down, and I don't have that little video.
It was like a butterfly. It was like a butterfly going.
It was it seemed light. I mean, it was heavier than the water, obviously, because it went down, but it just didn't. I don't know. How many times have you flipped a coin into water and watched how it went down? It fluttered like that, but it went down pretty quick, and that just seemed like it was a little light. But and gold is heavy, so I don't know. But anyway, but they never did do the airlift, so we never got to see anything, brought up. You're right, Janet. It might be a flake of mica, and I have seen mica before, and mica's really light. I mean, it's really light. So I don't know. Could be. But I'd still like to have seen them do that airlift and try to get up the whatever was laying on the bottom, because there's a bunch of sediment down there. I think it was H8. Which one was it that they found the metal? Remember they found looked like wrought iron metal that was laying on the bottom of one of the holes? Was that H8? I don't remember now.
I do not remember.
I don't know if it was C1. It might have been C1. Do you guys remember which one that was? Anybody remember that? Remember that it looked like wrought iron, black wrought iron was on the bottom. They sent a camera down one of those holes. I don't remember what caisson that was. Anyway, see if somebody remembers. Anyway, they talked about doing that, and then right after that, hey Kevin, how you doing? Right after that, they got word that in 3 days later, the team gets news that the travel ban between the United States and Canada has been modified. This will allow certain visitors, approved visitors to enter Canada, but they must quarantine themselves for 14 days. And Rick, Marty, Alex, and Peter all qualified to be certain citizens to come over. So right off the bat, over they come. Yeah, I was thinking it might be 10X. I appreciate that, Bill Kelly. Thank you very much. That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
When they got the okay and they flew in, there was, when they were at the motel or apartment complex, wherever they were, there was a couple of telling pictures there that I remember. One was Marty and one was Rick, and they were looking at the island like they could reach out and touch it, but they couldn't get there.
Yep.
And it was so
frustrating. Looking out the window. I know.
They were like looking out the window or at a picnic table looking out, and they could see the island, but not. That had to be very frustrating.
That had to be. Well, I guess I would want to be there too. I was thinking, in my opinion, it almost might be worse, but maybe not. To be able to look out the window at the island right there and the causeway, you could see the trucks going across and everything. You could even go outside and watch. You didn't have to look out the window, but you're just like, oh man, I just want to go there so bad. It's almost like that hanging putting a steak in front of a starving man, and he's not allowed to have it. Yeah, you could be right, Dave. Dave was saying it was C1. You might be right. Now that I think about it, it wasn't 10X that they found those metal pieces. There was a black bar. It looked like black tar on it or something, but standing against the bottom. Yeah, one of them was leaning up against a wall. It looked like a hook or something. Remember that? There was some of the pieces were laying and they were like leaning up against a wall down there. So we never got more of an explanation on those, but you might be right. I think it was C1. I was thinking it was, but I couldn't remember. Yeah.
Boy, C1 just will not go away, will it, Jeff?
No, not at all. For sure. Let's see. Dave said, yeah, Doug and Steve are at the money pit, and there was actually one of the points of the anomaly points that they found when the Behringer survey was in the money pit. So they were going to be checking that out. So then I'm gonna hop over here and go to lot 15. Lot 15 was interesting because they had those dreaded archaeologists out there were working in lot 15, and you had Mr. McGinnis was there. You had Mr. McGinnis, you had Aaron Taylor, and of course Laird Niven in lot 15 working. And I'm going to bring up this picture right here. And this was on one of the old maps. And this was one of the old maps that I think that Fred Nolan had that Doug found. And right there, you see old tunnel entrance ? Now, obviously, it was a question mark that he didn't have. This is, again, one of those things that never really got investigated. They found it, and they just were focused on, Dan was focused on 10X, and Fred was focused on the swamp, and, these things like this just never got looked into. So, again, they're like, well, we got to go check this out and find out what's happening here. So, they that was one of their focuses for before Marty and Rick and everybody got there, was to go take a look and see what they could find or what this anomaly or rock feature was in lot 15. So that was the drill of the guys. And here's another picture that I grabbed. This is looking at the layout of the lots, and this was those. You got C1 in the Money Pit and the Behringer Tunnel. One of the tunnels, and I've got some more pictures of this later on, that shows a tunnel was heading right towards this stone structure in that general area, according to the Behringer survey map. Yeah, you're right. And Fred was a guy without a gob of money to be spending on all this. He put his money and time into promising spots. You're right. Exactly. That definitely is something that had to be done.
One of the thoughts that I had.
You don't have the history.
And Fred were on the island. The money that they put into it, what would it be today?
I know. Right. If they would have had that kind of money. I mean, even Dan Blankenship selling his construction company down in Florida and moving up here to take this on, he did not have, he had a certain amount of money, and then he had to get investors. And he went up there initially, but to buy in, and couldn't, and went home and then came back. I guess he finally got bought in, obviously, but just like the Laginas did the same thing. They tried to get in early and they couldn't, and they ended up being able to buy in later, and to get into this thing. But they, Dan and Fred did not have, Prometheus and the History Channel helping them out. So, and, in Nova Scotia, I don't know if they get anything from that, but I mean, it really has helped the tourism, right? So anyway, so the Behringer survey showed a possible tunnel that was heading over toward the stone structure. So why not go check this all out? And this was all information that Doug found while he was going through Dan's files down there. So it had to be looked into and find out what's happening over there. So, they had David McGinnis and Aaron Taylor and Laird all, finding out what's happening to get down there. So, see a triangle plotted. Get McKinsey. I was just looking at what you had put up there. Go up further. You'll see a triangle plotted. Are you talking about the gold anomalies in there in C1? Is that what you were referring to? I wonder how many archaeologists will be back this season. Not sure. We're going to find out, obviously, but yeah, I'm not sure. I would imagine quite a few of them, if not all of them, that we saw before.
There were 4 in the one picture that they showed.
Yeah, we've seen some pictures go by, and we've seen there's a new guy. We saw a picture, and we don't know who he is yet, but we saw a new guy. And then, of course, Liz and Miriam. So there's a new person there for sure. So anyway, they're starting to work on this, the stone feature in lot 15. And of course, there's good old Laird, checking things out. And again, Laird is the head archaeologist. He's the one that's been tasked with being the head archaeologist here. And he primarily worked the ball property all last season, and Aaron worked in the swamp. So, but anyway, having David McGinnis out there, that was pretty cool. And being a descendant of Daniel McGinnis, I thought that was really neat. So he had
5th generation, if I remember.
Yeah.
Or
Fifth
like
generation down. Yeah. Fred Nolan plotted triangle. Oh, let me see. Let me check that out real quick. Okay. So I was just looking at what he had to say there. Let me go look at that picture. I can't. I don't have that capability. You talking about the one where it says the old tunnel entrance? Yeah, I don't have that in the the picture that I have. I can't pull that up.
The one that he's talking about at the end of the year when they did.
It's this picture here. He's talking about a triangle point that is up further in the picture, and I can't. With this particular picture, I can't move. I can't get up there. This is just a snapshot of what they showed on the channel, so it's not the actual map. I do have a picture of that map. I might be able to. Let me see if I can find that. I might be able to pull that up. But all right, let's see. Let me see if I can real quick.
Because they were talking about that, and at the end of the 1 year, they had I won't call him a plumber, but when they took a snake down that one hole right up there by the ball property.
Yeah. That was like a little tunnel that went.
Like a little tunnel that went.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that was for. They never really.
They never said. They got so far and it got blocked, and it was right at the end of the season that they did this.
Yep. Get McKinsey. I've got it right here. I'm going to bring it up right now. Yeah, they did. They found that, but they never really investigated it any further. That was the end of season 7, I believe. It's right here. So here's that, and it's kind of blurry. I can't see what it says, but right here is that tunnel entrance ? And then here's that triangle that he's talking about.
Oh, Janet says Roto-Rooter band.
Oh, did I just miss a call? I don't know. If that was somebody calling, please try again. I don't know. It doesn't say I missed a call, but it didn't light up and tell me. Anyway, if somebody just tried to call, please do that again if you would. But anyway, I'm not sure exactly what this triangle is. I didn't. It's blurry, and even if I try to move in on it, we can't really see. So yeah, I might have to check that out later and get a little further investigation to see just what that was. I did have that picture. All right. So we're about an hour in. We got to keep moving along here. Let's see. Man, I tell you, it was a fun season. It really was. And
I think we should tell our members that you and me were talking. We didn't realize that the first one here was a 2-hour episode.
Yeah.
Because when I was writing my notes, I'm going, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Jan worked so hard on these synopses, and I'm using hers, because I've got a lot of notes written for season 8, but I didn't have the first couple shows. Let's see. It turned out to be a drain, like Tom said. Laird said later that it was a drain. For that shaft or that
shaft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that little tunnel that they ran that snake into. Yeah. Let's see. The sewer cleaning guy. Yeah.
Roto-Rooter man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I got a picture here. This was the rock feature. They showed that they were looking at lot 15. This was shortly after they first got started with it, and getting a look at it. So, they worked on that. And again, right off the bat, taking the sauerkraut. Taking the sauerkraut juice. Sauerkraut.
Oh, well.
I don't like sauerkraut.
I don't either.
But we talked about those cabbages. I mean, he had to have a good basement and everything set up for storing those things, and they store very well. We talked about that, the fact that those cabbages, that he could get 1,500 per acre and then sell those to the British Navy. They help him with scurvy, traveling back and forth. So, and he would get him, make good money doing that. So their initial assessment of lot 15 of this rock feature was that it was a pine tar kiln. That's what they came up with initially, a pine tar kiln. They did find charcoal. They did find a lot of stuff like that led them to believe that there was a lot of, it was a constant burn feature going on. And so let me bring this up here. So there it is there's that picture of that. So yeah, they definitely, come across, you can see the surveying where they were digging down. They ended up getting down in there a little deeper. And then that whole idea of it being a pine tar kiln started to wane a little bit, didn't it? They weren't so sure after a while.
They couldn't connect any dots to it right off the top.
Right. Now here's another picture. This was one of the ones that they were looking at the data of the paved area. Now, whether this made any real relation to anything or not, we don't know yet. But going from that paved area, that was the one that they found on the north side of the Nolan's Peninsula in the swamp. That was the paved area they found at the end of season 7. And then this is the pine tar kiln, or the lot 15 rock feature. And then here's the money pit. And they were talking about the fact that it was 500 feet exactly between these, going both ways. So was this, and like somebody was saying there, let me see, who was that? Kevin said, was that for ship repair? If it was a pine tar kiln, that makes a good sense, doesn't it? They talked about that a little bit on the show, that they would need pine tar, and they used it for sealing of ship holes and whatnot. So that would definitely be a good use for it. And we talked about the fact that if they used that area that we'll get to later as we go along, that area down there in the southeast corner of the swamp as an area to bring in boats, if they were doing any kind of repairs there, this would be the way to get that information or that stuff down there. Okay, am I getting a call here? Nope. Okay. My phone's acting up. I don't know what's going on with it, but it wasn't a call. All right. Anyway, so and then roads, and they did find later again. We'll go across this as we go along, but Jack and Gary Drayton did find some like a path or a trail that was being used through here too, through lot 15, going down to the swamp. So, yeah. So Kevin said pine tar was also used to seal canoes if they were traveling inland due to the native contact. Yep. Maybe it was a furnace used to make the ox shoes and nails. Could be. They did think about that too. Aaron said there was zero tar. Right.
They talked blacksmiths an awful lot too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Ruth said also. And Linda said Laird said that they never found any pine tar residue. So that kind of eliminates that whole idea of it being a pine tar kiln, doesn't it? They would have to be some kind of residue to find. They found charcoal. So what were they using this for? But yeah, exactly. John Edwards. Yeah. So pine tar for ship repairs. Yeah. So we don't know. And I don't know that at this point, obviously, they're just still doing the investigation. So we still don't have a good idea of exactly what it was for. They did find this rock feature that was in there. And this one was pretty cool. A blacksmith shop, maybe. Yeah. So this rock was pretty neat. Not only did it have that drilled hole in it right there, but it also had this beveled edge right here. And it was clearly, this beveled edge was clearly man-made, because you got that notch right there, where it was cut, and then this beveled edge. Boy, didn't we see some, John, over the, it's kind of funny, John, when I was looking at this rock, and right off the bat, when I was revisiting this episode, and I'm looking at that going, man, we saw a lot of stuff like this over last weekend. Anyway. So, but this rock was really cool. And I don't think they actually ended up determining what it was for. I think Steve Guplo came out and he did a survey mark on it to get a GPS location from it. And he said that notch, as were many of the little holes that they found drilled in rocks all over the island. There was many of them that they found over the years. Different people found that they were some sort of a survey marker of some point. So that may be true. It also could have something to do with, it could have something to do with leading you to a certain conclusion, letting you find out where things were buried. So interesting that rock was. But again, we saw it in episode 1, but it never really, came back up, did it? Do you remember it, Jack, coming up again?
I remember Steve saying it was, he told Rick and Marty when he came, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yeah.
But after that, we never heard anything.
Right. So then, right after that, and then, we got Mr. Gary out there with his, what the heck was this thing again? His, I gotta look at Jan's notes here to remember what it was called. The OKM EXP 6000. The OKM EXP 6000 that probably cost about $6,000
or more
for this thing. But what a contraption. But again, it really didn't find anything for them. They did a survey. They did find some stuff because it did like a pattern. They did like a mowing the lawn, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And, they didn't really come up with anything. Mind Lab. I don't know. All the hold rocks remain. Reminds me of the map room in the Indiana Jones. Yeah, yeah, that's true, huh? Drilled rocks were certainly used by surveyors. Thank you, Linda. Yep, that's true. Um, yeah, lots of lots need survey markers. Absolutely. Yep. So it could have just been that. It could have just been a survey marker, like you said. Anyway, so there's Gary out with his new 6000 out there doing some scanning with that. Him and uh, Jack were out there working. And there's a picture of him, and he's all excited. And that's the thing about Gary and everybody that I've spoken to on the show that has met Gary and got to know Gary, especially Karen. Karen talked to him being like one of the funniest people she's ever met. He's so animated. And this was like, yes, it's an old coin. You know, I would love to meet him someday. I'll hopefully get to meet him and, get some of that enthusiasm because he is always so pumped up about stuff. And they found the old coin, and there it is right there. Now they get to look at it later on. We'll get to that in the next show that we do for episodes 3 and 4, but they get a chance to actually look at it. But initially they weren't exactly sure. First of all, was it a coin at this point? Or if it was a coin, where did it come from? And I know that Gary had mentioned something about the fact that they possibly had punched a hole in it to deface it, which that had been known to be done. And Gary would know that very well, that they would sometimes take, because you had I was going to say the president's face, as our coins do, or somebody of importance, has their face on it, and they would punch a hole in it to deface it. We also know that they took coins and they actually cut coins. That's how they made change, is by cutting a piece of a coin off.
I was even thinking Templar because they had that around their neck. Coin.
Yeah. And possibly run a string through it. But yeah, I think we got the conclusion later on, or we think we did anyway, from the gentleman that looked at it later on. And I think it was episode 3 or 4. 3, I think. He got a chance to look at it. I know. Barbara said, I would love to take one of Gary's metal detection classes. It makes he makes it look fun. He really does. And I would love to hear, or get some of it. Because I love metal detecting. I absolutely love doing it. It's one of my favorite pastimes. I don't get to do it enough. But to learn from him would be awesome, because they say he's a metal detection expert. He is. He's been doing it ever since he was a teenager, young man. You ever see the pictures of him? Remember the pictures of him back in the day when he was had long hair? He was a beach kid, I
think it was when he was in England still, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. You see him with his long hair. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Gary Drayton. Let's see. Gary thinks, he thinks in puns. Yeah, he does. He always has fun puns on Instagram. Yep. Let's see. I'm just reading some of the stuff here. The square punch is very similar to the punch at Smith's Cove's cross. Yeah, it is. That's true. That's true. It is. Interesting. Yeah. But, back then it was easier to make square punches than it was to make round ones. When you're hammering something out, when the blacksmith was hammering something out, it was much easier to make it 4-sided than it was to make it round. That's why nails were square back then. Anyway, so there's that coin. So that was pretty interesting that they found that. And that was after they went through there, and he came back with his regular metal detector. Regular, I say regular. The thing was still very expensive, the one he normally uses. Let's see. Okay, now I wanted to get to Mr. Spooner. Ian Spooner got working over in the swamp. And so I wanted to show a couple of the pictures of what he was doing over there. And so these pictures, and I love these old pictures. This is one, and I forget, somebody put them up on the group page today. And I jumped on and was looking at some of those, and I appreciate that very much. I wish I remembered your name. The gentleman that was putting them up on the page, he had put up about 15 different old pictures. And John Edwards and I we did an IDK, and we were looking at some of the old pictures and maps and stuff. And I love and Henry DeWitt Henry, you had put up a bunch of pictures too, old pictures that were really, really cool. And this gentleman that put these up had also some of those. This one here, dated 1945, as you can see, was taken, and you see the swamp here. And this was in how Ian saw these, but he saw these anomalies in here, and you can barely see. It looks like this is maybe the road feature that they were, working on this year, or during season 8, running along right here. But he saw these anomalies. Now, this is the paved area that he found in season 7 on the north side of Nolan's Peninsula. But he also saw these other features that he wanted to get a better look at, right? Mainly this one down here, and he did a little highlight right here of that one. That's the one that they really wanted to get a good look at. Yeah, it is. It is a really
southeastern point, wasn't it, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, this is the southeast corner of the swamp right here. And so he had enlisted the help of Tony Sampson. Here's just a picture of artist rendition of that paved area, 80 feet wide by 170 feet long. That's the paved area that they found in season 7 toward the end. Right there is Nolan's Peninsula. And here's that feature that you and I would love to find out if that's really a ship down there.
Oh, yeah, my ship can come in, please.
Yeah, I know, huh? Yep. Oh, okay. It was Chris is doing those photos. Thank you, Linda. It was Chris Bose. Yeah, Chris Bose that was doing those. Yeah, that was really cool. I jumped on there and made a few comments. I thought, if you haven't seen those, check them out, folks. If you like those old pictures like I do and Henry does, and I just think they're fascinating. And I could look at them all day because when you really sit down and you zoom in on them, you can see so many so cool features that and the island over the years. That's the main thing. The island over the years. You see how it changed over the years. It's really cool. Okay,
one of the things that I picked up looking at maps this year on our page was when you cross over the causeway, you don't really go into anything. You've got to come down to get to the money pit, down to get to the swamp. You just don't. The causeway is like at the far end.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
And something I always thought, well, you get right off and here you are.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Most of the area is flat over there. And then you actually go up on a rise when you're at the money pit area is one. And then the rock feature that they were looking at later, we'll get to that as we go along in season 8 here, the rock feature there. So that was like the highest point of the island. And up there where 10X is high, very high point of the island as well. And then it kind of goes down from there. Yep. So the next one here it is Tony Sampson. He enlisted Tony's help to push this scanning unit that he has right here that Ian has right here. And he pushed him around that whole southeast corner down there to see what he could find. And it's so cool because he definitely found an anomaly. And look how deep that water is. I mean, there was times where Tony was up to his chest in the water here, pushing that thing around. So he could get these scans done, which was the easiest way to do it in the Zodiac boat here. But, they go around and they get these scans and put this all together to find out exactly what it is that he's finding out there. And he also took a piece of rebar and he was jamming it down in there and he was feeling the edges of this platform. As we know now, he found the edge of that paved area, that stone paved area that later on that Aaron was working on. But how cool was that? This tells you that this technology definitely works, doesn't it? Because it was really showing exactly what was happening down there by, and how they can read that stuff. I mean, I guess you have to be somewhat of an expert to understand that when you're looking at those, because to me, it looks like you see these different scales of the green and the yellowish and the green and whatnot. And you're, oh yeah, there's a ledge right here. And I'm looking at it going, okay, it doesn't look like a ledge to me, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
The training that they have to go through.
Yeah, they have to have some kind of training to be able to understand what they're seeing on there. But it really worked. It obviously worked because he knew that there was something down there. And he was very adamant to tell Rick and Marty about it so that they would come and want to investigate it even further. The money pit is on a rise and can post pictures of it. Yeah. Yep. So, and finally, so that was pretty much the end of the show there on the first one. So that gets us through the first episode. and leaves us with that point. So here's everybody that's working on the island. They're working on lot 15. They're working in the swamp. And they are beginning to take a look at the Behringer survey map and take a look at that and find out what they can find out there. And while this is all going on, they had, Aaron, Dave, and were on lots 15 working that. This is the beginning of episode number 2, which is called The Boys Are Back. So they had Aaron, Laird, and Dave were continuing to investigate the stone feature on lot 15, which they believe was connected to the construction of the money pit in some way. Still trying to tie that together to find out. This is also where you find Fred Nolan felt that there was a tunnel entrance there. Aaron finds a stone that has a flat side, which would appears to be the beveled edge. We show that with the drilled hole in it. States that he did not look natural and they could call Steve and have a look at it. And Steve came out and checked it out. And then he talked about Frederick Blair. Now, Frederick Blair had found a drilled stone in 1895 northeast of the money pit. And Eric Gilbert Hedden, boy, I need a drink. This kind of drink. Gilbert Hedden also found one near Smith's Cove in 1937, which was this was really neat about this. This was on a perfect east-west line from Blair's stone. So again, survey stones, survey marker stones, kind of had to be because it was a perfect east-west line between those two stones. Okay. Yeah, you can always have a straight line between 2 points, but it was east and west. It was perfectly east and west. So they were some sort of markers. It's, survey markers. That's what Steven said when he came out and checked it out, that they were some sort of a survey marker, which he would know because he's that expert with that. Yeah, Kate's here in Houston, Texas. Dave, thanks, guys, for coming by. Appreciate you and glad you're here with us. Houston, Texas. Dave said, waiting for the Mystery of Oak Island board game to play at home. Yeah.
Boy,
You should invent that. Why don't you invent that and then show us, bring it up on our Facebook group page and show us what you come up with. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Kevin Dorsey says, have they been able to get through the treasure trove of information that was donated to them from the lady that passed away? Oh, Xena, help her. Xena's stuff. I don't know. That was all given to Rick. Rick Lagina has it all. And I know they've gone through a lot of it, but I don't know if they've gotten through it all. I think
that's why Rick brought in that one building with the house of Xena stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Rick actually hired some folks to help go through it all because I guess there was a ton of stuff. And I think he actually hired some help to go through all of that because there was just a lot to be done. And of course, he's over on the island all the time. So he doesn't, when he can be. So he doesn't have time to go through all that, maybe in the wintertime when he's at home. But John Edwards said Oak Island Monopoly. Yeah. I would buy that. I would buy a board game, an Oak Island mystery board game. That's good. You definitely should make it. You definitely should.
Between that and buying a blooper reel.
Yeah, I guess Boardwalk would be the money pit, right? And Nolan's property would probably be a Park Place. I don't know. Nobody could win.
No. Tom says nobody would win.
Yeah, nobody would win. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. That's funny, huh? Oh my gosh, nobody would win. Not until they find the treasure. That would be the thing. You got to find the treasure on the board game. Yeah, we could even play it remotely. You're right. We could. Go to jail would be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You guys are hilarious. Go to the swamp. Do not pass go. Do not collect pirate booty. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. You guys are hilarious. You call in with that stuff. All right. So the guys finally show up on the island. There's Rick and Marty and the gang. What's this? Oh, somebody just put something up here. What is this? The money pit of Oak Island. Oh, it does. There's a game. There's actually already one out. Jan just said, Jan, you're going to have to link this in the group now because
I am.
That's
2 to
why.
6 players, 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's the Money Pit of Oak Island game. It's created in 2016, I guess. Oh, you beat it. Well, you can still make another one. You can still make another one, Dave. Go ahead, get one out there. Yeah, Jan just
have a newer version of it.
That's hilarious. Oh, so anyway, the guys finally they go through their quarantine, and we saw them all going through the whole quarantine thing and just driving them crazy. I'm going to spare you all the pictures of that stuff. But as we were talking about earlier about the fact that they were out there and they were not able to get on the island, but yet could see it. That just had to be crazy, right? But they finally get out there, and it's somewhere around the 1st of July that they show up. And right off the bat, they said, okay, what do you know, right? If they didn't want to go in, and they wanted to get busy and start going around. So they immediately took them out to Lot 15 so they could see the feature out there at Lot 15. And yeah, here they are showing up out there. And, you know, you can just imagine how they felt finally getting out of quarantine and getting on there and getting to go around and see stuff on the island again. And so they pointed out the different things. And I think that David McGinnis actually talked to him that one of the most important features that they found in there was the charcoal, because the charcoal could be dated. Did we ever get a date on that?
Not that I know of.
I don't know that we ever got a date. Does anybody remember? Did we ever get a date of the charcoal that was in Lot 15 in the rock anomaly? I don't remember. But he talked about it to be indefinitely from repetitive burning, and Laird tells him that a tar could have been used for construction of the money pit if it was a pine tar kiln.
Now we've got 2 possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
The swamp and the money pit.
Yep. Let's see. Can you carbon date carbon? You can carbon date. Well, you can't carbon date coal, but I thought you could get a date on charcoal. You can get I thought you could get a date on charcoal, but you can't on coal because coal could go back, you know, a long time because when it was formed, right? So unless you could get some sort of a pollen sample off from it or something like that. But I think that, yeah. So anyway, but that was the big thing that they could date it. So that's what they wanted to get there. So anyway, so they all got out there. They got to get a good look at the Lot 15 anomaly. Yeah, sounds like an oxymoron. Can you carbon date carbon? Anyway, so now we jump over to the Behringer survey, and this is what Doug and Steve Guptill were working on. And I just love it. Oh, this shows some of the tunnels that they had figured that they were from the survey. And here's the cave-in pits. This is down in Smith's Cove, and then also up in the Money Pit area, the tunnels that go by up there.
Well, 100 feet, if I remember correctly, deep.
Yeah, exactly. And I had another picture of it too, and I can't find it at the moment. I had grabbed it, and it had the colored lines from the Behringer survey, but we'll get to that more as we go along. Yeah, the people are posting up stuff about the game. The Oak Island game. And here's that one line that runs through from C-N to C1 through the end by the Money Pit. So this is one of the tunnels. Now, could these tunnels have been the flood tunnels? If it was truly finding a tunnel from that survey? Yeah, could be. So, and then I had to grab this picture. You know, it's so funny. But I had to show this picture because this is the one where Stephen had to go out and he had to, you know, while the tide was in, and he had to go out and get a shot of the one anomaly or the one picture. I think this was either 1 or 2 from the Behringer survey, site 1 or 2. He had to go out and get it in the water, and
that is where they found cross that. If I remember.
This is where Gary Drayton had found the lead cross. Yes, exactly. He said it was right near or on the spot where they found the lead cross. And this is where they found a non-ferrous. This is one of the non-ferrous hits from the Behringer survey. And of course, the tide was in. So he walks out there and he had his boots on. He had his rubber boots that went up to just below his knee. And of course, he's
Oh, that had to be cold. I'm sorry.
oh, my goodness. So, yeah, I'm sure it was. Look at his face. But anyway, so he had to go out and show that marker. And that's exactly where that was, where the lead cross was found, or right near that same spot. And so that's why I threw that picture in there of the lead cross. The more I look at this thing, that is a hand right there. I'm thinking it's telling you dig here. I'm still kind of a believer right there that says, some people said, oh, it's a foot, but I don't know. There's a line right here and that looks like a hand. Just like that. And it's saying dig here. So dig at the bottom of Nolan's cross. Okay, whatever. Maybe not. All right. The other point that they were looking at out there was this one here. And they were driving the stake in there to market. And this one is really, really cool because this one is the one where, you remember last year or the year before last, this is where they had dug that 50-foot deep hole that Rick Lagina ended up getting in the bucket of the excavator and going down in that hole to get a look at the wood tunnel that was down in the bottom of this 50-foot deep hole.
And they took a video. And they took a video of it.
Yeah,
down there also.
they sent that camera down there. Now we'll talk about that as more, but they sent that camera down there, and you saw that wood. Now you can't see it on this picture because I think it's actually on the opposite wall. It's over here on this wall, but the wood, it's all broken and looks like it was a collapsed tunnel. So
all I can remember that is Marty pointing and says it goes that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, toward the money pit. Toward the money pit. Exactly.
That's exactly what he said. I remember they couldn't do much with it because it was at the end of the year. I tried to remember the season. I know it's the season that they pulled the copper dam out because they couldn't leave it there because they were going to pull the copper dam out that time.
Right. Yeah, it couldn't stay. They had to fill it back in at the end of the season. But they also, I wanted to see them go explore that further. They never did. They ended up filling it back in. But that is right where that spot is. So this picture here of where they were, they're standing on the hole that they had dug. And they said that where that marker stick was that they had put in was right here where where the excavator was sitting, where Billy's excavator was sitting. That's where the stick that they drove in for that, when they GPS that marker point, that's where they said Billy was sitting on the, that was the non-ferrous hits, gold and silver or whatever. That was a non-ferrous hits spot. And that's where the excavator was sitting on.
And I don't think they went back there last year.
They didn't.
I mean, they went to two other places, but
yeah.
To me, that's such a coincidence to have a tunnel and then a ferrous. I mean,
yeah, they didn't. You're right. So, and I wanted to see more on that, but yeah, they never did. Now, did they do something with that this year? I don't know. We'll find out. Janet says that it's a good luck charm for travelers. I think it's the hand of God for protection. Interesting. You could be right. I don't know. I still want to think it says dig here at the foot of Nolan's cross. That's the Cone E, I think, isn't it? The bottom one, I think, is called Cone E.
Right.
Yeah. A short season. You're right. They didn't have, and they really did get a lot done in season 8. But you're right. They did have a very shortened season to do the work that they were trying to accomplish.
They got a lot done when you stop and think about how much little time that they had.
Oh, absolutely, they did. Yep. Yes, they did. So next up, and we're getting close here. We're going to have to call it pretty soon here. But the next up was they were looking. This is in the second episode still. This is where I think is this where we first get introduced to Michael John and the guys that work with Billy Gerhardt. They were over here at the wash table. And they're cleaning off the spoils. I think they were going through the spoils of borehole 8A. Yeah, at that time. And this was a possible debris from the Money Pit collapse in 1861, was found last year. So they were going through those spoils and they were checking everything out, spraying it all off. And as they're going through there, and I've forgotten this gentleman's name right here now. I just want maybe somebody can remember, but I've forgotten his name. I know this is Michael John, and then whatever this gentleman's name was, but he had initially found what he found a button. It was a little button, and there it is there, a picture of it. And he was showing it to Stephen, and Stephen said, wow, it's really light. So it was some sort of a button. They decided to bag it and get another look at it later on, which was really cool. But we never did see anything more about that either. Josh Ballard, thank you.
Thank you,
Josh
Jan.
Ballard. Oh, you did have his name on there, didn't you? You did. Sorry about that.
We
So,
both did, Jeff.
Steve, Michael John, and Josh Ballard. If I'd have just read your notes, Jan, you did say right there where it was. But he found this button here, so they bagged it, and we never saw anything more about that, but it might be in the Interpretive Center or the museum. And then Michael John found this piece of leather, which I thought was really cool. So this piece of leather that they dug up, or they found in the spoils there, he said it was pretty thick, and he was flopping it back and forth, and they thought it might be a piece of bookbinding or something like that, right?
Yes.
But they brought Laird over to take a look at it, and then you see the backside of it. See how thick it is. Now, bookbinding, in my opinion, probably, I don't know if it's going to be that thick or not. But Laird came over, and he thought it was a piece of a shoe.
I believe that got looked at later on in the year as we get further along in the year, because they did go to a leather expert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Up in Halifax.
Right.
Yep. So interesting, though, find a piece of leather. And again, these are from the spoils from 8A. What the heck? What are they doing down there, right? I mean, why is there a piece of leather and a button? That was taken from that deep in the ground. Why are those things in there? Again, it's people say, oh, it's a piece of leather, big deal. Oh, it's a button, big deal. But the question is, why were they down there? And it's like the bones they found, the pieces of bone from the somebody in the Middle East and a European. 170 feet underground. Why were those bones found down there? It doesn't make sense. So that there was something happening down there. People say, oh, there was nothing going on down there. Or maybe it was just a ruse. There was nothing happening down there, but they're pulling up pieces of evidence that lead to a story that something was happening that deep underground. What in the world were they doing down there? Right? If they weren't hiding treasure, they were looking for something. I mean, it just makes sense, right? It definitely, yeah. So Linda said, definitely was not bookbinding, they said. The leather was the leather man said, yeah, I don't remember his name, said there was tiny holes. Yep. So anyway, yeah. Yep. Got it. And so, all right. So they headed over to Carmen's because they wanted to get a look at some of the things that they found and have Carmen take a look at them. And I love that. Whoops. Wow, that's a odd picture there, isn't it? Where that came from. Let me jump out of here for a second and fix my pictures. So they went over to Carmen because they wanted Carmen to take a look at that axe. Gary, when they found that coin, they also found an axe head. So they went over to Carmen's and they showed him some of the things that they found. Carmen Legg and they gathered up some of that from him. Let's see. Then they found that pickaxe. Yeah, they also found a pickaxe. Gary and Jack Begley, when they were out in Isaac's Point, they found that old pickaxe. Now, they had said the interesting thing about Isaac's Point is that they said that Isaac's Point was a place that spoils were dumped from the Money Pit area over the years. And Carmen, when he looked at that pickaxe, he said that it was very old. And so that would have been a pickaxe that would probably have been used for tunneling purposes. And I've got a picture of it here. I'll show this real quick. Then we're going to get wrapping this up because we're getting long here, folks. Okay, so here it is here. There's a picture of it there. And it had a crack in this area here where it goes around where the actual handle goes in, the wood handle goes in. And he said, man, this thing was used. It was really putting a lot of stress. They were really pounding on this
A
thing.
lot of
really hard.
pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, and it cracked it. And it actually cracked it across this area here. I think there's actually a picture of Carmen inspecting it. Yeah, there's Gary and him looking at it there. But yeah, so that thing had a crack in it. And so that was one of the things they took over to have Gary take a look at. Carmen take a look at, and found that, it definitely had that crack going across it. And so that puts it at a certain age. And again, that was pulled up from spoils. So that means very likely that was something that was found deep underground also in the money pit area. So again, a very interesting thing to have happen. Then they had a look at that coin again a little bit. They got over in the money the pickaxe, he said, was dated. Carmen dated the pickaxe between 1700, early 1800s, late 1700s, early 1800s, definitely before the discovery of the money pit. So it was down there. It was down there underground someplace. So then they wrapped up by doing a war room where they had Alex and Peter and Marty and Rick and Gary and Laird were all in a war room, and they were going over some of the things that they had found down there underground. And I'll show this real quick, and this will be our last picture of the evening. They were going through not only looking at this rock that they found in lot 15, but you see some ox shoes. That's what I noticed was on the table here, all these ox shoes that they found. And of course, that axe head that they found that he said was from a ship. It was a rigging one from a ship. So, and that coin he said was probably from the 16 or 1700s. So there you go, folks. That was episodes 1 and 2 that we just wrapped up when we revisited for you. And we're going to be going again through episodes 3 and 4 on Saturday at 2:00. And we're going to continue doing this. And I'll try to wrap them up make it a little bit quicker. But this one was kind of tough because it was a 2-hour season premiere. The other ones, we got more time. We can run through them a little bit quicker and not take up quite so much time. But I really appreciate you all being here tonight, going through this stuff with us. Man, we've had a good time. And I wanted to say, if you're out there on the YouTube channel, please click on that subscribe button. Man, I tell you, folks, the last look, and I'll look again real quick, but last look, we were getting really, really close to that 1,000 mark. And we'll find out. Maybe there might be a little prize. It doesn't always tell me who subscribes. I get some of them, it pops up and tells me, but sometimes it doesn't. So I may not know who the 1,000th subscriber is, but if it tells me, I'm gonna reward that person with a little something. We're at 979 subscribers to the YouTube channel right now. So that's 21 to go to get to 1,000. Yeah, thank you. 21 to go. So I'm really looking forward to hitting that 1,000 mark. That was kind of the goal we were shooting for. So we're almost there. We really appreciate all of you that have done that and subscribed to our YouTube channel, JFree906. Really appreciate that very, very much. And don't forget, we also have a Patreon channel as well if you'd like to help support the show, because unfortunately it does cost money to do this thing with all the stuff that goes involved in making a show like this. But I tell you what, we do it because it's a lot of fun, and we do it because we love the interaction with each and every one of you out there.
We just have great members.
It is. It's so much fun, and I love to sit here and interact with all you guys. It absolutely is a highlight of my week to be able to do this and enjoy doing it with you guys.
It's enjoyable for me just to look forward to this.
Yeah, and so having Jack back at the co-host chair. And Jack will be here with me through these going through all these synopsis, the revisiting of the season 8. And then as we roll into season 9, we're going to be, him and I will be going through all those every Wednesday at 7:30 right here on the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond YouTube channel and Facebook page and live stream and all that. We really appreciate you guys very much. So yeah, Wanda, hope you didn't just now show up right at the end. Oh, well. Thank you guys very much for being here. Jack Campbell, thank you so much for being my co-host here. And we will see you guys, and Linda and Jan and everybody else that's out there. Thank you guys for all the hard work you do. We will see you right here, 2:00 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. And we are going to go through episodes 3 and 4. You guys have a great night. We'll see you later. Bye-bye now.